Namaste. Welcome to the series on protein. Today I'm going to be talking to you about the basics of protein. The reason why we decided to do this series is because a whole lot of us have begun to believe that we are falling short on protein. But is that really the case? Well, no. I think the only thing that we are falling short on is pyar, mohabbat and love. But this isn't about pyar, mohabbat and love. This is about protein. So, when you begin to believe that you are falling short on protein, you must at least ask yourself that what are the functions of protein and what really am I falling short on, so that you can make a proper assessment on whether what you're feeling is right or not. So the main functions of protein carries out many functions, but the three main functions of protein are growth, repair and maintenance of all of the cells and tissues of our body. So from our hair to skin to brain to bone to blood to digestive enzymes, protein has a role to play in every single cell and tissue of the body. So yes, getting the right amount of protein is important to meet these physiological requirements or physiological functions of protein, because without it, you won't have the vitality and health that you want to have. Which brings us to the second question. So am I actually falling short on protein? Well, if you look at the evidence, then the International Panel of Experts on Sustainable Food Systems released a report in April 2022 where they said that there is no such thing as a global protein gap. In plain English, they are saying that there is no protein deficiency across the globe, whether people belong to a vegetarian heritage, a non-vegetarian heritage, or to a vegan heritage. But wherever there is poverty and therefore lack of access to nutritious food, there is shortage of not just protein but of every single nutrient. However, what they noted is that there has been overemphasis on this one single nutrient, protein. We hear a lot of it in media, in social media, even in the health advice, and they believe that this could just be because of the emergence of the protein markets, because of the meat industry, because of the alternate to meat industry, because of the emergence of high specialized protein diets, and also because of the protein supplement industry growing from about $20 billion last year to about $50 billion in 2031 or 2032. So as usual, it boils down to just business and marketing as usual. All right, so then what is this elusive protein molecule made of? Let's just go back to your school biology class. Amino acids are building blocks of protein, and you essentially have two different types of amino acids, the essential amino acids and the non-essential amino acids. Non-essential amino acids are amino acids that your body can make on its own, and essential amino acids are amino acids that your body cannot make on its own, and therefore you must ensure that you get it through the food that you're eating. Which brings us to the fourth question. So should I be eating anything specific so that I actually get these amino acids? And the answer to that is that you don't need to eat anything specific as much as you need to just rebuild the diversity back into your diet. So the main thing that we are going through as a globe is not so much the shortage of protein as much as it is the shortage of diversity. Now, diversity has always been a part of the Indian heritage and the Indian culture, but we are losing out on this sense of diversity in this madness to get more protein out of our diets. Well, if you look at the current month that's going on, we are in Shravan, and in Shravan, even people who are by their heritage meat eaters, fish eaters, egg eaters, give up on eating all of these things during this month, so that they are able to include more vegetables, more dals, more legumes in their diet and improve on the diversity of the food that they have access to. If you look at vegetarians, they will eat more wild and uncultivated vegetables during this month to improve again on the diversity of their diets. People who belong to the Jain heritage give up on eating grains and green vegetables during the month of Pajushan and eat more legumes and pulses during that time. So each one of us has a method of diversifying the food that we are eating, because there is an inherent understanding that when there is loss of diversity, there is a loss of health and vitality of the body. But coming back to the question, how do I get enough protein? Answer is again the same, diversify your sources, but here are the top 5 protein sources that you need to be paying attention to. Number 1, legumes and pulses. Now this is actually just one source, but I like to split it into 2 for practical purposes, because India has a variety or a varied way of eating both the pulses and the legumes. So legumes are the things that you're going to soak overnight, allow them to sprout and then cook, so that you are able to access the amino acids in a much better fashion, and with that you also have access to the fiber and the vitamins and the minerals that they offer. So this is typically the chana, the rajma, the lobia, the moong, the matki, the kurit, the navrangi dal, the arsane of Goa. So work at diversifying the portfolio of your legumes and eat it after sprouting it like a curry. Now again, a lot of us have now begun to eat just the sprouts, but we are leaving out the rice or the roti or the bhakri. Now that doesn't quite work in allowing our body to have complete access to the essential and the non-essential amino acids. To ensure that we have proper access to essential and non-essential amino acids, to ensure that we have a protein sparing effect. Protein sparing effect means that where our body spares these amino acids just for the protein purposes of growth, repair and maintenance, and doesn't use it for energy purposes, we must eat these legumes in the time tested combinations. So you must eat the rajma with your rice, or the misar with your chuda, or the lobia with your roti, or the arsade with your bhakri. Just stick it out with your time tested combinations, so that your body has adequate access to the essential and non-essential amino acids and is able to use protein for protein purposes, and it's not getting wasted. The second group, like I said, are the dals. Now of course we use the dal as a dal, so you know the way we eat a dal rice or a roti dal, so that is of course one way of using dal. But there are also other ways of, you know, people make a dal paratha out of dal. Then there is the dal dhokli, there is pitla where the dal is used almost like a sabzi. Then there is this practice of making a pudla or a chilla or a pesarettu, where again the dal is used like a dosa or a roti. Then there is the practice of converting dals into chutney, like a pudi which you eat with your idli or dosa. So even when you're eating your dal, have it in the varieties that we always used to eat them, because now the variety in which we eat dal is shrinking. And again, remember that the combination is important. So just if you want adequate access to protein, is not enough to just have dal. You must also have the rice with it, because only then can you access it properly. Otherwise, you're just going to get more gassy and bloated, you know, in the absence of rice when you're eating that dal. So that's the second source. The third source is nuts, a handful of nuts every day. So not just the almonds and the cashews and the walnuts, but also the garibo ke nuts, which are actually technically legumes, you know, the singdana and the chana. But include those in your diet. You know, a singdana or a chana can be a good option for your evening snack, much better than biscuits. And like I said, you don't need to do anything special to get your protein. You just need to do very commonsensical things where you're switching to more wholesome food to have access to better amino acid profile. The fourth food group is of course milk and milk products. So a cup of milk, maybe in the morning with your nashta or in the night before you go to bed, dahi rice for lunch, chas after lunch or dinner, a kadhi rice, a paneer sabzi once in a while. So the methods in which we always used milk and milk products bring those back and have at least one source of milk and milk products on a day-to-day basis. And then of course comes the very obvious protein source, which is eggs and meat and fish. Include them in your diet if you belong to a heritage which eats meat, fish and eggs. Know that if you eat it in time tested practices, eating it on a few days of the week, not eating it on a few other days of the week, you are very much eating it in a sustainable manner. But you must also eat it in time tested combinations. So when you're eating your chicken, don't forget your roti. When you're having your prawns, don't forget your rice. When you're having your omelette, don't forget your chapati. So whether it is legumes that you're eating, whether it is dals that you're eating, whether it is the peanuts or chana that you're eating, or a handful of nuts, or milk and milk products, or meat, fish and eggs, it is important that you eat it in a wholesome manner in the time tested combination, because what research has found is that when you have protein through what is called as the whole food matrix, which means that where there is no compromise with the traditional combinations, where you are eating it as a part of the wholesome diet and not exclusively protein, then your body is able to access these proteins, digest them, assimilate them and even excrete them optimally. When you just get greedy for more protein and cut out all of the other food groups, then you have gas, bloating and acidity. And then instead of what you envisioned eating more protein is going to do, give you fat loss at a faster rate, give you better skin and hair, prevent you from getting injuries and the likes, you just fall sick more often, you don't like the way your skin and hair is looking, you're having digestion trouble, and then to just about feel okay, you have to just buy more products. So you begin to then need a fiber supplement to poop, a pre or a probiotic supplement to feel kind of okay in your stomach, a magnesium supplement to be able to sleep. But you don't need to be doing all of those things. Simply sticking it out to time tested combinations and the diverse varieties of eating these food groups will more than meet your needs. So remember that of these 5 sources, even if you're eating just 3 sources every day and having it in a manner where you're distributing it throughout the day, a little at breakfast, a little at lunch, a little for the afternoon snack, a little at dinner, you have more than covered the protein requirements of your body. Lastly, know that there are some things which can come in the way of assimilation of protein. One of them is being on an extreme diet. So if you are on an extreme diet where you're eating only once a day or eating only twice a day or eating very, very little and being very restrictive on the food that you're eating very few calories, then no matter how rich your diet is in protein, you will still fall short on the functions that your body needs to carry out with the protein, and your protein assimilation will stay poor even though the consumption may stay high. Another thing to here to remember is that even these trendy cleanses, where you just go off regular food and you're eating many things which which then just make you use the loo very often and stuff. Again, anytime that there is nutrient deprivation for days together, it's not a good scene for protein assimilation. And lastly, but very, very importantly, smoking and drinking come in the way of protein assimilation. So you will not be able to use protein for the growth and repair and maintenance if you're smoking or if you're drinking. Please know that eating normally or eating commonsensically is not just a good way to have adequate access to protein, but it is also a sensible and a kind way to access protein for your pet, for your pocket and for the Prithvi at large. So don't worry about the shortage of protein only because you're not overeating or buying things with the hashtag protein. Just eating at home, local, seasonal, traditional, commonsensical, and in time tested combinations more than meets your requirement. I'll see you tomorrow with more details about how to create that anabolic environment for your body so that you're able to put all of the amino acids that you're eating to good use. But till then, bye bye, and thank you very much for watching this video. Bye.